Hi, welcome back. It's another week for us to come together to kind of just share some thoughts. And it's my hope to kind of build off of what's come on for the last 3 weeks. There's been tremendous feedback from each and every one of you, and I'm truly grateful. Um, it's it means a lot to me that people actually spend time to sit down and formulate a response. Many of the people actually pray deeply to gain the response, not just their own thoughts. And I have to say that I am truly grateful for that. And I'm truly grateful for each and every one of you, and embrace the opportunity to extend God's love back to you and share what's coming forth upon my heart, especially in these past weeks where I've been sharing the key and fundamental teaching within Grace Healing, which is the importance of really seeking God first in all things. And I think it was on week 2 that I was led to have Andreas actually connect the Cosmos meditation directly to the instruction of that week, so that you could actually click on it and play back the meditation that God brought through me from a vision that I had when I was younger. I don't know, 28 years ago or 26 years ago or whatever it was, of actually awakening me and reminding me of the nature of the most important teaching within all creation. So that's still tied to the video of week number 2, or if you see it here on this page right now, you'll see the Cosmos meditation. And I pray that you're blessed as you do engage in it. But as we say within Grace Healing, we do not engage anything without engaging in God's prayer first. So if you would just breathe deep. Yarabiyamolo kotora bakalio me speciali andresh, toramo toro kotorivis mesilia mere kotoraviamo, oro totorivis mesipiatri hishna kotoraviana. Tatari Mikael Muntu Yemen Yeshua, Havun Solo Undravikishna Yapantru Kumya. And I want to share with you right there, when you hear the nature of the language that comes forth, as you know, I only speak English. I try to help people understand that if you truly surrender yourself before God, the very nature of your tongue can be overtaken by God, and then God will form the prayer upon your tongue to be spoken and bring forth vibrational blessing and awareness upon this earth as God uses you as a holy instrument. That's seeking God first. But I want to come to a practical sense of what do we do in the daily situations we encounter, the daily, like the simple aspect of a cold or a flu or some manner of sickness or dis-ease within the body. Do we start seeking the sickness? Do we immediately run to the medical system? Do we immediately run to the over-the-counter drugs? Or do we stop, pray, and seek God first? And this week I kind of had my dance with a dose of natural numbness, and I wasn't paying attention, and I was working on one of my job sites, and we had like 40 some odd mile an hour winds. The temperature was at like 15 or 17 degrees at the start of the day, and just by pushing through to try to get things ready for my guy that was going to be doing the siding, I didn't pay enough attention to what I was doing, and what happened was I lost my core temperature. I was standing on a ladder at one point, and all of a sudden my feet went instantly ice cold, and I started shivering from head to toe. In that, I removed myself from the job immediately, got back here, warmed my body, and then the next day, because I just kind of felt off from that moment forward, that just something was off, and I just kept seeking God. The next day I woke, and I could just feel the symptomology of a cold rising within me. Now, look to the language of humanity. When people say that, oh, your resistance has dropped, you caught a cold. No. What's happened on a spiritual level, as Yeshua taught us, is every single thing we see manifested upon this earth begins first in the spiritual nature, first from the order of principalities. Anything of corruption, he said. That means all things of corruption. So the cold manifested, which showed within me that I was resisting something. I was resistant to the nature of God's presence within my life. I was resistant to something that was unfolding around me, and it brought forth cold symptoms and manifestation. So I didn't run right to the medicine cabinet. I didn't run right to the pharmacy. I sought God. And I found that there was distress coming within the sinuses. So I did the simple tapping where I opened up these areas to kind of get things to move a little bit. And I got things to shift. And the sinus issue that was becoming a runny nose and actually closed up sinuses began to open. Prayed and positioned my body once I released the spiritual resistance, or I released the different things that were governing me as I got a foggy mind and a bit of confusion going on because I was a little bit overtired because I didn't sleep the night before very well. So I released the spirit of confusion. I released the spirit of fatigue. And as I did, I found I was able to be clear, present, and focused on the tasks of my day. As I met with clients, I met with individuals, and there was no evidence of me dealing with any cold. I was blessed to pray over some people, see the amazing glory of God's presence rising for people in healing, restoration, renewal, praying over a little baby, praying over people in the hospital, and just moving through with them not having any knowledge of the fact that 5 minutes ago I was releasing the spirit of pain because the pain was so intense in my head. So I released the spirit of pain. All things drew away. I was able to be focused, pleasant, joyful, and all that God desired for the sake of those I was blessed to serve. Just like surrendering into tongues, I surrendered the fullness of my body. I released all things of a spiritual nature, sought God's presence. I'm not seeking the cold. I'm not seeking the disruption. I'm not seeking the problem within the body. I'm looking directly toward God's presence and releasing anything that rises that is not of God. Just let it go. And as I do, I started to gain different wisdom. I was led to do a simple home remedy for my body to get things back into order. So I come to the evening and I was having distress in my sinuses. So I put on those little sticky strips that kind of pulls the nose open. I was able to breathe easier. No medication. Nothing entered onto my body. I even blessed the little strip that you put on your nose. And I'm just allowing my body to be in proper state. And it took me 1 day to get rid of this cold that everybody around town has been dealing with for 2 to 3 weeks. And some more so. Some ended up in the hospital, some ending up with the pneumonia, different things, because it's escalating, because they're not seeking the nature of God's presence and releasing the spiritual root first. As I've shared with you in my story in the past, this same thing happened with the broken back when I broke 2 vertebrae. I sought God, not the back issue. I ignored the medical input. And I don't recommend that you go ignoring your doctors. That's not what I'm saying. In my journey, I was called not to pay attention to their words. I was called to relinquish their words and know that they held no power over me. I was able to drive for the 6.5 hours up to upstate New York to do the healing event that weekend, all the way driving out there going, what am I supposed to do about this? I mean, I could hardly even move. The pain in my back was so excruciating, but I kept releasing pain. And God filled my time driving out to upstate New York for that 6.5 hours in the vehicle, in prayer, no pain because I was filled with prayer calls the whole way. Get out there. And it was the 3rd day, and all of a sudden I found the prayer, but then it became intensely painful. By the 5th day, it fully manifested. The next day was the healing conference. Same way with my broken ribs. The doctor said, you have to do this, you have to do that. I said, no, I'm sorry, I disagree. And I sought God, God alone, meditated upon God's presence, found God's presence within it, and full manifestation healed, and the bones knitted themselves. I believe it's the same way when it comes to simple things like I had debilitating arthritis in my hand, so much so that this knuckle was actually, my finger was turning out. This one was probably about that large. You know, it was huge. What I'm talking about is seeking God. So I sought God. I didn't take medication. I didn't load my body up with stuff. I sought the presence of God. And I felt that kept rising, that this was generational nature. It kept coming up. And I remembered my aunt having severe debilitating arthritis to the point where her hands were all turned up onto themselves. And now, as you see, they look normal. I don't have any pain or discomfort within them. There's still a little bit of stress going on when I feel I can get down to the clench and I can feel a little bit of discomfort. So I'm still seeking God for the additional things that I hold on to within me that might limit the fullness of God's glory. what is God's glory? This body manifesting the love of God, manifesting the joy of God's presence, manifesting the unity of God's presence, manifesting holy compassion, manifesting health, vitality, strength, and unity throughout my body. That's God's glory. So if it's not presenting, what it's telling me is I am still holding on to something of a spirit nature, because I rest entirely upon what Yeshua said. Everything you see manifested upon this earth, any form of corruption that manifests upon the earth, is first spiritual in nature, rising from the order of principalities. And in that, we are blessed with the holy presence of God within us, so that we might surrender to God's presence, so that if anything of a spiritual nature rises within us, emerges from the order of principalities through our flesh, meaning our souls, rises in such a way that it shows disorder or discontent within us. It shows pain, fatigue, tiredness. All these things are not of God, for God is vibrance, energy, strength, vitality. If I'm sensing fatigue, tiredness, or exhaustion, I release the spiritual things that govern that as I seek God and God alone. So I hope this really kind of gives you a practical expression of what is it to seek God first. And this is my journey. I don't wish to force it on you, but I would tell you that as people have called me the alien from another planet, or the person that they just can't quite understand, I've walked these things in these experiences in love of God, knowing that, whatever I'm experiencing upon the earth is what I'm experiencing, but I know God is perfect. God is present. God is whole. God is strength, vitality, truth, understanding. What am I doing in me, or what am I allowing through ignorance to reside within me instead of the full glory of God? So, as we pray, I do want to extend to each and every one of you that if anybody right now is experiencing any form of physical malady, sickness, disruption within your body, any sense of emotional distress, any spiritual experiencing that you may be encountering, which, if you figure this out yet, any emotional distress is first spiritual. Any physical issues you face are first spiritual. So please remember and know that seeking God first brings the fullness of all wisdom present to be within you, to know all things of a spiritual nature loosed and freed from you, and God's glory manifested through the very nature of your being. So we pray, we breathe, we center upon God's presence, and right now, if you would just breathe deep and stand in awe that it is Yahweh, Yahweh, God and Creator, God above all things of creation, the very manifestation of all things blessed. Yeshua, Yeshua, the physical manifestation of that which is Yahweh, Yah, the holy and perfect being. Abun solo ondravish maklatun turimaro tuturavigamuru tatavana. Abun, the very living breath of God's Spirit that resides within us and all things of creation, to manifest blessing and to make His glory known. Trust, breathe, and receive. And we are one within God's presence. Have an amazing week. Know that you are loved most dearly by each and every one of us here at Grace Healing. And we pray extending blessings unto all people that face any distress within their families. We pray especially for our beautiful sister, Ina Marie, in this time as she deals with her mom being moved from one medical care facility to a hospice facility and taking care of her family as well. So blessings upon all people, all of you that have any of the same situations, any friends or relatives that are dealing with any form of sickness. We raise them up in prayer, and we are available for you if you wish to reach for prayers of encouragement within you or healing for them. We are here. We look forward to hearing from you. We extend blessing to you. for each and every day of your life. May you know God's breath in each thought, word, and moment. We love you in the name that is Yahweh, Yeshua, Abwun, the triune nature of our God. Amen.